So we have quite a bit number. I think we'll just wait for 2 more minutes and then we will start. Are you guys excited? Thank you everyone for joining us today. We will just wait for 1 more minute before we start the session. Thank you for those who joined in time. I think we can start. What do you say, guys?
Yeah, I think we should start.
Perfect. All right. Namaste and hello to everyone who's joined in. Today we are discussing a burning question, what it takes to get into a top university. Joining us for a fireside chat today are 4 students who have just gone through this process and have proudly secured admissions in their dream universities. But before we delve deeper into this conversation, let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, I'm Varnika Agarwal, a career coach and founder of My Big Leap. And let me quickly share my screen. So My Big Leap is an independent education and career guidance consultancy based in Mumbai, where we mentor students all across the globe. We handhold students and parents and provide various services, right from career counseling, which involves stream and subject selection for class 8 student onwards up till grade 12, based on scientific assessment tools, leading to choosing the right career choices. We also work with professionals looking to recalibrate their career path. So any time to do career counseling is a good time. We also work on profile building and university applications for students for admissions both in India and abroad, while helping parents in selecting the right curriculum for kids just when they are starting their academic journey. We also conduct various career related workshops. Now, coming to today's topic. With this ongoing COVID pandemic, when the world seems so uncertain and the future looks very, very unpredictable, and with this ever growing competition, we as parents and students are constantly worrying and have just so many questions in our heads. When is the right time to start thinking and focusing about university admissions? What all goes into building my profile, worthy of getting noticed by the top universities? Am I doing enough? That's the question that's constantly going on in the student's mind. What all tests do I need to take and what kind of scores do I need to get to make my application competitive? I'm sure these all questions might sound very, very known, and confusions very seemingly very near to you. What extracurriculars do I need to pursue? How do I balance my academics with all the plethora of extracurriculars that I need to do? And last and the most common question that I get, which university should I aspire for? And the list goes on and on. So we hope by the end of today's chat, you would gain some knowledge, clarity, and perspective on these questions. What can be better than hearing it directly from the students with varied backgrounds who have themselves gone through this journey? So please join me as I welcome our 4 panelists on this fireside chat today. And let me 1 second. I'm just trying to stop my. Okay. So I hope you can see all the panelists. So we have Vedant Vishwanath, Ishita Ramanujam, Advika Shali, who's joining us from London, and Stuti Sharma. I am so excited and happy to have you all with me today. One principle that we would like to follow today in this conversation is to really have a free flowing discussion. However, to ensure some structure, I will start posing some questions that you guys can individually answer. The main value of this discussion will be from the audience questions. So, dear audience, please keep typing in your questions in the Q&A, in the chat, and when you think, as and when you get questions in your head, please keep typing them. And I will try and take up as many questions as possible as the discussion unfolds. We also have budgeted separately 15 minutes at the end only to take specific questions which still remain unanswered with our panelists. So let's begin. Are you all excited, Vedant, Stuti, Advika, and Ishita?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So I would now request each one of you to introduce yourselves, covering which high school board you are from, which city you come from, which university possibly you can, tell you're joining, which course, and whatever more you think you want to tell. So who wants to go in first? Okay, so we have one boy here. So maybe Vedant, you can start.
Okay, sure. So I'm Vedant Singh Vishwanath, and I'm going to be going to the University of Oxford starting October. I studied in Indian boards throughout my life. Up till the 10th grade, I did ICSE, and in high school, I did the CBSE board.
Lovely. And Vedant, what course are you joining at Oxford?
I'm going there to study PPE, which is philosophy, politics, and econ. For those of you who don't know.
And to just add on to what Vedant said, PP is one of the most competitive courses of Oxford, or rather, one of the most competitive courses to get through in the world. Yeah. Okay. So maybe Stuti, you can go next.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. My name is Stuti Sharma, and I come from Mumbai. And like Vedant, I've also studied till from ICSE till 10th, and I continued in ISC after 10th grade. I've joined Ashoka University actually. I'm already in, and we had our orientation week. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I will be studying BSc in psychology. So I'll graduate with an honors. And I also plan to do a minor in entrepreneurship with concentration in either philosophy or English. That's a little complicated, but yeah.
Lovely, Stuti. Okay, Advika, how about you?
Hey, my name is Advika Shali. I'm from Mumbai, but throughout my high school journey, I've lived in Singapore and South Africa. I did the International Baccalaureate Board, so the IB, and I'm enrolled in Staffordshire University in the UK for computer games programming and design.
Lovely. And Advika is already in London currently. So thank you, Advika, for joining with all the time zone difference that we have. Okay, Ishita, here you go.
Hi everyone. I'm Ishita Gupta Ramanujam, and Stuti and I were actually in the same school, and I also did ICSE after 10th, and then ISC in 11th and 12th. So next week I'm actually planning to go to the University of British Columbia in Canada, and I plan to do an honors in psychology and a bachelor's of arts in international relations.
Lovely. So, audience, you would have noticed that our today's panel consists of students from different boards, right? From CBSE to ISC to IBDP. And all of them are going on pursuing very varied kind of courses, right? Right from PPE, economics, psychology, game design, liberal arts, global affairs across different geographies, right from USA, UK, Canada, and India. The whole idea was to give you a flavor of this whole varied, give a varied perspective so that you understand, you have a better idea of what goes in across geographies and across different fields. So, quickly, can you all go through the multiple offers you all got and what went through in your mind, right, to make this final decision that you all decided to go to the respective universities that you've decided? So, Advika, why don't you start?
Okay, so Varnika helped me apply to universities in the US, Canada, and the UK. But I chose the UK primarily because I would be closer to my family. And the university I'm going to is Staffordshire University, but I also got accepted to University of the Arts London and University of Manchester. And honestly, now that I think about it, I can't even remember most of my universities that I applied to.
So if I may add to Advika, who's being very, very modest, Advika got through all the universities, all the top colleges that we applied for her, and she got to each one of them. So, you know, at the end, she was really confused. Which one should I go?
I'm really indecisive.
So Advika, if you may add that what made you to make the final decision? Acha, I think you said, you know, being closer. Or is there anything else you want to add to?
Yeah, this university I'm going to is really specialized for my course, and it's really specialized for the games industry. And I picked it because it had a very welcoming. It was very welcoming, and they were really open to me and all my questions, and the process was just way more smoother than a lot of the other universities that were just very cold in a sense. And I just prefer smaller universities in terms of campus size and class size because I like to get to know my professors and my classmates. That's what I'm used to, especially in the IB. So that's mostly the reason.
Lovely. How about you, Vedant?
Yeah, so in the UK, I actually applied to 5 universities, and I was pretty sure by the time I entered high school that I wanted to go to the UK after a few counseling sessions with Varnika. So I applied to Oxford, I applied to LSE, King's College, UCL, and Warwick. And I got into 3 of the 5. So I didn't get into LSE and I didn't get into UCL. But luckily for me, because of my field and the fact that PV is a specialized course at Oxford, it started at Oxford. I was pretty sure I wanted to go to Oxford and go to my target university. So we just went with that.
All right. So I think it's a no-brainer why Vedant is going to Oxford. You know, so I think we all don't want to know that answer. It's pretty clear. Okay. So Ishita, why don't you go in next?
So I applied to the UK, Canada, and Singapore, and I got into a few universities in each of them. I ultimately, actually, as Varnika auntie knows, that my actual dream university was Singapore, and I wanted to always go to Singapore from the start. But when I actually started researching universities in Canada and looking at them, I realized UBC, other than the campus, which is what everyone talks about, there are 2 other factors why I chose UBC. Number one is UBC's psych department. They have a lot of, in psych, the practical knowledge is way more important than the theoretical knowledge. And UBC has these labs for each field of psychology, which actually helps you, learn the subject way better. And the second reason is that UBC also follows a side. I also wanted to do liberal arts, and UBC has that kind of combination with liberal arts. And I believe that it lets you experience and gives you that exposure to a far wider range of subjects than most other universities in the world. And that's the reason why I chose UBC.
Lovely. And Stuti, I want to hear from you and I want you to tell the audience what made you choose Ashoka. While let me tell you all, Stuti got through all 5 UK universities that she had applied to, all the top universities for psychology in UK. She of course got through all her choices in India, and she's decided to go to Ashoka. So Stuti, your answer will be very interesting and very meaningful for the audience.
Definitely. Vanika aunty, I would like to correct you. I didn't get into all five. I had applied to Oxford, but I
Oh,
didn't get into
yes.
Oxford. And I had
Yes.
applied to UCL and I did get into UCL. So it's sort of
Yes.
completely opposite from Vedant. So I had applied to the University of Exeter, the University of Edinburgh. I had applied to Oxford, UCL, and King's College London. And in India, I applied to Ashoka, Kriya, and Flame. So the situation for me is actually, it's a very comedic way of how I reached deciding that Ashoka should be my university. I was pretty hell-bent on UCL from the start of my application process. But when I reached towards the end of 12th grade, I realized that if I do accept UK, it would be a very rigid degree that I would be pursuing, because they offer a BSc in psychology, period. You can't do as such a minor or a double major or anything as such in most of the universities that I had applied and gotten accepted into. And I also did a lot of research on Ashoka, mainly because it's closer to home. It has a very welcoming faculty. It has amazing people, everyone I interacted with. I felt very much at home when I started researching and considering that as an actual choice for myself. And Ashoka is known for its psychology faculty as well. So that's really great. And I would not be able to pursue a minor in entrepreneurship and a concentration in, say, philosophy or literature if I had gone to UK. So in order for having a varied course that I would graduate with at the end, I think I went with Ashoka. And I'd also like to add that Ashoka has amazing research opportunities. Within 2 days of my orientation week, I actually reached out to the HOD of psychology that, listen, can I intern at the psych lab? Can I do something? And he did reply back, and I'm interning on a dog cognition project right now. So there are a lot of research opportunities at Ashoka as well. So that's
Already just 1 week down into the course, and you're already, beginning an internship.
yeah, precisely.
Lovely. So, audience, there is something very interesting that came out. If you notice that it's not about how many universities you get in, or if you have a great profile, you will crack all the universities. But it's really about the right fit. So while Vedant, who got accepted in Oxford, didn't get through LSE, or maybe one more, and Stuti, who got through all the other choices except Oxford, and in Nishita's case she got through so there are these very interesting patterns that I see over years. So it's really not about how many universities you got through, but which is the right university, which is the right fit for you. So really selecting the universities which match your personality, right, is a very, very important piece in this whole puzzle of university applications and profile building and all of that, which we will be discussing as we go further. So great. So let's move further. And I'm also getting some questions from the audience. So there is one very interesting question that has come up, which says, how did you zero in on the course that you decided you'll be pursuing now? And when did you get that clarity? Which grade? And did the stream selection drive that decision? So just tell us that whole journey. Ishita, you have an interesting journey, so why don't you start?
So, as Auntie knows, I actually when I first came to Auntie at the beginning of 12th grade, I actually wanted to do culinary arts and study at CIA, which is in New York. And it was like my childhood dream to become a chef and everything. But as I did more aptitude tests and actually thinking about it and feeling a little confused, I would say, I realized that it was culinary arts was more of a hobby rather than a full-time profession for me. And doing the aptitude tests and all kind of which Auntie really helped with, kind of cemented that fact. And to be honest, even if you ask me now, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, and I think it's okay to be confused right now rather than later. But overall, I think 12th grade is a great time to figure out what you want to do, because that's when you really kind of understand and get the feel of what you're studying in ISC and whichever board you're studying in. And yeah, so don't worry if you aren't yet sure about what you want to do, because you'll figure it out.
Absolutely, that's a very valuable input, Ishita. How about you, Advika? You have something to add on to this?
Mm-hmm. So when I first started with Varnika, I had no clue what course I wanted to pursue. I had some rough ideas that regarded different types of design, so product, graphic, game. I even considered some courses in the social sciences department, but I finally landed on game development because it blended and let me show both sides of my personality. So although I love computer science, I've also been an artist since childhood. So the course was like a perfect display of both my skill sets. I'm also really fascinated by the process of creating games. And since the game industry is only going to get bigger from now, it's the perfect niche for me to get into.
Lovely. Okay. Stuti, why don't you tell us because yours is a very different side again.
Yeah. So I was pretty sure that I wanted to do psychology since 8th grade. I don't know exactly what drew me to it, but I just knew that. And I mean, the sciences and the math part is not exactly my passion. I always knew that has to be social sciences and literature as well. So when I came to Varnika auntie, she did all of the aptitude tests for me, and it showed that psych was actually the perfect fit for me as well. So then my belief was reiterated that like psych is for you, just go in and go get it. So that, but I would also like to add that it's completely okay if you don't know what you want to do. A lot of people don't know it until the end of their first year in college as well. So if you're very confused and you think you have many interests and you don't know and you don't want to zero down yet, then I think a liberal education program would be the best for you, because they let you dive into the university basics of a lot of different courses, and then you're asked to finalize later.
Thank you, Stuti, for that, that clarity that you always had and which you very clearly communicated to everybody. Vedant, coming to you. You have an interesting story too.
Yeah, so I think for me, there were like 3 steps along the way, and hopefully most of you can extrapolate from this. But I think, although I didn't know I couldn't pinpoint exactly what I wanted to do, I knew my general field of interest. So I knew I was interested in econ and the math side of it, and I knew I was kind of interested in politics. I was always into debating, and me and a couple of my friends had started a journalism club at school. So I knew I wanted to look into courses like econ in history, econ in politics, and I looked at a bunch of these courses that were there, that were available, programs available from UK universities, right? And then what Varnika auntie actually helped me do, and my big leap helped me with, was looking at the professions that I could get into post, like each kind of course, which ones I would enjoy. And then as a third and last step, just looking into each course, looking at the modules and seeing which ones piqued my interest most. I think after that third step, I could sort of figure out if I wanted to do PPE versus say econ or econ and engineering in Singapore.
Lovely. So I think from this, all 4 panelists, what sort of comes out clearly is that, if you know what you want to do from the beginning, great. If you don't know what you want to do, that's also absolutely okay. What would be very good, helpful and meaningful would be to go through a career counseling process, which is very holistic, which is not only about an aptitude test or a psychometric analysis, but really captures you, your personality, your interests as a person, right? So once all those things come into the picture and then we look at your skills and abilities, it really helps you make better choices and gives you more clarity of thought as to what eventually would be better choices for you, right? And even then, if you still feel you're confused, it's okay. As Stuti said, go for liberal arts, right? And liberal arts doesn't mean only arts, it's social sciences and sciences both. Yeah, so you could study, a physics course or a chemistry or a math or a biological sciences, but in a liberal arts way, right? Which is more open and open to exploration. Okay, fantastic. So for audience benefit, let me quickly tell you broadly what all goes into college admissions, right? It's a holistic process, right? You have to write essays, there are LORs, there are transcripts, you have test scores, interviews, and a lot of other things, right? So my next question to you all is, when do you think one should start profile building, really start building your profile, and how did you go about doing the same? I'm already getting a lot of questions from the audience because profile building is one big thing. Parents hear from, when they are in casual conversations with other parents, children are hearing. So when did you start? You all are already on the other side of the journey now. So, it will be nice if you share your experiences. Who wants to go in first?
I don't mind going first.
Lovely, Vedant. Please go
So,
ahead.
if I were to address this just from a logical point of view, I guess if you knew what course you wanted to do, especially for the UK, you could just work back and like from the moment you enter high school, you could decide what extracurriculars would lead up to it. But for me, as for most of you, you wouldn't know exactly what you want to do. You wouldn't know exactly what extracurriculars are the perfect fit for it. So I would say if you just know your general field of interest from when you're in the 9th grade or in the 10th grade or whatever point you decide to get into university applications, you should just try and do extracurriculars that interest you and are somehow connected to your general field of study. And for me, that was having a blog on econ, for example. I wasn't like that great at econ, but I just put out my thoughts every now and then on politics and economics on this blog I had. I got into debate because my course is a lot about current affairs, right? I started a journalism club at school. So I guess it just boils down to things you're interested in doing and that relate to your course.
Great. Lovely. And what about you, Advika? You have a very different journey because you are a design student, right? You are joining design, and design needs, apart from the extracurriculars and everything, you need a very solid portfolio. So, it's a lot of back-breaking work when you have to work on your portfolio. So, tell me, Advika, about your journey.
Yeah, so personally, I think I joined a bit late in terms of, or at least I started working with Vernica, I think, at the beginning or the beginning of 12th grade.
No,
But
we started 11th when we were in 11th.
oh yeah, like a little bit before the summer of 12th. Yes.
Yes.
So that was my situation. But in terms of portfolio building, it does take a long time, and especially IB, it's a 2-year program. So I wish I had started with you in 10th grade at least, so that I can like build my portfolio and my profile, and all my extracurriculars as well, and kind of create like a storyline or theme between my portfolio like pieces. So that would have been perfect. But yeah, I think in the end we we got
cracked
it all
it.
done. We got it done.
So there were a lot of midnight, burning of lamps, and Advika, since she was in South Africa then, and a lot of time difference. There were many nights we were sitting together and wondering, okay, why is Advika awake? Even when in India it's 3 a.m. and why is she awake? Why is she not sleeping? I would wonder, like, no, I have this deadline. I'm just finishing this, and I would be awake for her. So we've had some very interesting journey. All right. So how about you, Ishita? What is your take on building profile?
So I think it's not important what you do, but I think it's important how you commit to what you want to do in the future. And I think for me, because up till like the 11th grade, my profile was, I would say, 75% a lot related to culinary. And in 1 year, I had to build it towards the more psychology and those and the global affairs aspect of it. And I would really say don't stress too much about what you need to do. Just do something and keep doing something. And as Varnika will guide you later, while writing your essays and stuff, it's more about how you show how those extracurriculars or the other stuff that you've done, how it's linked to your future pursuits or whatever you want to do in the future. So don't stress about what you need to do, or if you can't find internships and this and that. I think just focus on whatever you're getting, and if it interests you and you enjoy doing it, then just go for it.
Lovely. That's a fantastic reply, Ishita. Stuti, how about you? What's your take?
So my profile building, I think I started that literally in early 12th grade, because I did have extracurricular activities, but I didn't know how to rope them together to make something very meaningful. I am into writing poetry, so I've published books. Along with that, I'm into money. So how exactly am I supposed to tie that together when it comes to, a PhD in psychology? But, working Kanika aunty, we sort of did manage to rope it up because I had to write a statement of purpose for UK as well, trying to show them that listen, even though I'm doing these different things, I am interested in psychology. So I think the key over here is just do what you have been doing your whole life, something that you're very interested in, something that pulls you towards it, because there's always a way to rope it back together. Everything is related to something that you would probably want to pursue. So the trick comes in about how you relate it to what you want. I think, yeah, that.
Fantastic. So, if I may sum up from what I heard from all of you, so your profile is really a mix of academics, your co-curriculars, and your extracurriculars, and it's never too late and never too early to really start your journey, right? I think that's what all four of you sort of pointed out. So, we've helped students get through great universities who've come into us in grade 12, and some of whom we've been working with since grade 9. So don't worry, if you're feeling you're late, right? What's important is to approach the process with utmost clarity, right? While not underestimating the importance of time, right? Because time is limited, right? So as Advika said, right, she's got through all her, the top universities that she was aiming at, but still now when she looks back, she just mentioned to you, right, that I wish I would have started a year earlier. It would have been possibly easier. That whole process would have been much easier, right? So and that's where I think this whole planning process comes in, and really putting together a meaningful profile. So doing different things which you find interesting, and also make sense to eventually to what you are planning to do. Right. Okay. So there is one very interesting thing which I would now like to add on as an extension to what you guys kind of already pointed to, right? So how was your experience of 11th and 12th? Basically your high school experience along with, so the academic load of high school, 11th and 12th, along with this whole university applications process. And I can see some big smiles on your face. Oh my God, don't ask. Okay, so maybe Stuti, since you have the broadest smile, why don't you go in first?
Okay, sure. I think time management is something that you really have to learn. It's a very big cliche when people say time management, you're taught time management since you're a child, but you don't actually know how to do it until you come across it yourself. And I think even university, like what you're planning for, the first thing that you should know is time management. So it's a really big lesson. There'll be times when you procrastinate because there are exam deadlines coming up, assignments coming up, all of these things. And along with that, you also have application deadlines coming up. So you don't know when you should be doing what. So I think just really plan it. I think what I did was, I like there were some applications which I did finish last minute, and I wish that I hadn't done that. I strongly advise against that. But there was some in which I would, take out time towards the end of the day when I didn't have much work. So I would plan my school work and my assignments and my studying, whatever, after school before sunset. And after sunset, I take a break, and then I'd sit towards the end of the night before I was supposed to sleep, and then work on my essays for my application. So I think that's how I planned it.
Great. Vedant, you want to go in next?
Yeah, so something I definitely recommend is to get some clarity on where you want to apply and by when you want to apply to university by the 11th grade. Because in my case, I started our counseling sessions with my big leap only in early 12th grade. So there was a little bit of absence of clarity, and that made my 12th grade extremely hectic, right? On the upside, in the 11th grade, I had a lot of time to focus on a CAD, so I had a pretty good mark sheet by the end of the 11th grade. I did some extracurriculars that I found interesting. I did MUN like Stuti did, I did debate, stuff like that. But for example, for the UCAS essay, we kept tweaking my essay till the last thing that I needed. So time management is definitely something you should work on. I'd recommend scheduling your time, or at least what you're going to do during which months by mid to end 11th grade, for sure.
So that's an interesting point, Vedant, you brought in, because I think when you came to me around in grade 8th, we sort of did this whole process of assessments and all, and you were confused between engineering and economics, and
Yeah.
you had equal conviction for both. I'm just jogging my memory and trying to bring back those thoughts. And I think by 11th you sort of had this clarity that it is economics. It's not engineering. I think it's economics for me, isn't
Yeah.
it? And I think that's when that whole thinking through started for you. That okay, now if it is economics, where?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that making up your mind took that long. And then once you decided, then there was no looking back. So
Yeah.
of course, time management and being very very focused and cool headed, very importantly. Yeah, that's an important thing. Okay, Ishita, how about you?
So I think two things that helped me. Number one was being very organized. And I think I've always been someone who's kind of been like a perfectionist and wants everything to be done to the T. So I think from day one, something that helped me, which would probably help one of you, was I had 5 or 6, approximately like 5 subjects in IRC. So what I did was Monday to Friday, I would study like one subject each day, and I would keep Saturday, Sunday entirely for my university applications. So that way, I had kind of a schedule and I would stick to it every week, at least leading up to my applications, and I wouldn't fall behind with either my academics or my university applications. And the other thing is, I would say, which I know Auntie will also ensure it happens, but something we did was we kept our deadlines at least a month or two before the actual university deadlines, and that when you're working backwards, you end up doing things faster, because in your mind, if you think that you'd only need like 2 drafts to finish your essay, and you submit it in 2 drafts, it's never going to happen. Auntie's going to make you write at least 10 drafts to make it perfect. So keep enough time and everything will happen.
I know how much you guys would have caused me that, oh my god, she wants to again wants this to, revise, and I wouldn't leave you. Okay, wonderful. Advika, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everyone's points about time management, especially because one thing for me is even I am a little bit of a procrastinator as much as I am a perfectionist in other things, especially like in art. Vernica always used to be on my back about finishing things on time, especially with my art pieces, because I would always have these really elaborate ideas and executing them would take so long. But at the end of the day, we got everything done,
And
and she
especially
helped
you
me.
coming from IBDP, right? Which itself is very, very exhaustive.
It's a really tedious course, and I used to play sports at the time as well. So that's one thing that's, I mean, if you love your sport, it's easy to manage it, but you do get really tired at night, and it's a big like it takes a toll on you eventually. But it was really fun playing rugby, but also doing my academics and everything. But because of the time zones, we would always work with each other on the weekends for applications. And yeah, I think honestly, time management is the one thing that you'll figure everything out as long as you're organized and have time management.
And I'm sure I'll have a lot of parents nodding their heads, saying, oh, that's what I tell my child, manage your time well. But seriously, that's the key. So, have fun, but, if you manage your time well, this whole journey becomes much more manageable and enjoyable. Right? Okay, so we have one very interesting audience question sent to me that, and it looks like this is asked by a student. Okay, what are you guys most excited about the university you are joining? Yeah, because we've heard all the scary stories of all the hard work and profile building and acads and all of that. Okay, so now that you have done it all, what is it that you're looking forward to the most in your respective journeys on universities? Ishita, how about you?
So, as I said, I'm going to UBC, and everyone knows about the UBC campus before they even know what UBC is all about. And obviously the campus, but I think more importantly, the people. UBC has over like 10,000 students in one cohort, and they're from over, I think, 100 different countries. So it's a really diverse place to be. And more importantly, I think Vancouver in Canada especially they give you the freedom to express yourself and to kind of, I think, find who you are as a person. And UPSC in particular, more than welcoming, I would say they kind of, let you discover yourself before kind of doing anything on you. And yeah, and I think just overall, just, going to a new country, that entire process is so exciting. So yeah.
Lovely. I wish you all the very best, Ishita.
Thank you.
Vedant, how about you? What are you
Yeah,
most
so-
excited about?
Apart from the campus and obviously making new friends and stuff, this might be like oddly specific. But for those of you that have seen a picture of the Oxford campus, you might have seen that dome in the center, massive dome. Yeah, it's called the Bodleian Library. And being a reader, I just want to go there because it has every book ever printed in the UK since the invention of the printing press in 1805. So I'd love to go to the Bodleian Library. That's probably what I'm most excited about.
Awesome. That's you, a bookworm in true sense.
Yeah.
And that reflected Vedant in all your interviews with Oxford. Lovely. Okay, Advika, how about you?
For me, mostly because I love the UK just in general. I love the culture. I love everything about it. And especially now that my parents are here as well, it's just perfect, I think, to be here in London. But also because I play rugby, and rugby is a really big sport in the UK. And my university has a team, and I'm really excited to be a part of that community, especially because sports is one of the best ways to make friends with people and just connect with your classmates. I'm also really excited because my course is sponsored by Sony and PlayStation and everything. So the industry standard equipment and everything is just going to be perfect. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
We can already see that excitement on your face. Stuti, how about you?
I think the most exciting part about Ashoka is its residential life. I have obsessively watched videos about people in their dorm rooms, and if you all have already researched about Ashoka, you all would have heard about the dhaba in Ashoka. So I think that's something that's very exciting. So I can't wait to be there. And obviously, in the academic side of this, on the academic end of this question, I would say that I have never exactly experienced this much of liberty when it comes to choosing what I get to study. Because in Indian course, you're sort of just dumped with what you should study and what you're supposed to write in exams. So I think I'll give you an example actually from my O week. During my orientation week, we had to apply for the foundation courses that we're supposed to study, and we just got our allotments today, and we have to do 4 courses this semester. So out of that, I'm very happy with 3 of them, but I'm not exactly very happy with the 4th one. And there's something called as the shopping week in Ashoka, which is the first week of every semester, in which if you can attend the classes of the course that you've opted for, but if you're not happy with that course or the professor, you can opt out without even telling the professor, and enroll in another course. So I think the liberty of just choosing how you want to plan your degree, what you want to do, who you want to study under, research under, I think that's definitely something I look forward to.
Superb. So, Advika, there is one question in particular I want to ask you. Since you got through all your dream universities in UK, US, and Canada, while you have sort of partly answered, that your family, but your family just recently moved to London. You were in South Africa before, right? So, what made you? So, there are a lot of people who want to go to US and study, right? And you got through all your, NYU and Drexel and all these universities you got through, and still you opted for UK. So, do you want to talk a little bit on that?
Okay, so for me, I think
I think from the industry perspective is something maybe you can talk about.
yeah, so for me, I had this big decision to make between a university in Washington called DigiPen, which was actually founded by Nintendo. So it's actually one of the most perfect universities for me. But I think, yeah, I was in between the two of them, and I just love the UK, and I always had my heart set on it. I loved just the lifestyle and culture over there. So that was one thing that attracted me. But one other thing that was quite a big factor was also the fees, because in the US the fee structure is crazy. So I think it was a perfect way to make the most of my university, but at the same time be under kind of like help my dad out because I don't want to burden him with too much. And I think it's really far from India as well. So just a sense of being closer to family, like I said already.
Lovely. So, audience, this is very important point which I wanted to bring forth, that, and which we've sort of covered earlier, that it isn't about the university rankings that you see when you Google, best university for economics, best university for engineering. It really is about what is right for you. What fits for you. Right from which matches your personality, which matches your budget, which matches the climatic conditions are also a very integral part of this whole decision making process. So and once you are clear on which universities you want to apply to accordingly, then you also look at what kind of things you want to showcase in your profile, in your university application, because every country has a very unique kind of and very different admission process and things that they are looking at. And while it's important to look at the right fit from your perspective, universities are also looking at the right fit, right? They don't want somebody coming into the university and then feeling very sad and demotivated while the student is very, very bright, but they are absolutely not able to fit in and adjust to the university urban environment, right? Okay, so we are almost towards the end of this chat. My last question to each one of you, if you have a piece of advice for all the students who will be on this journey currently in high school, and maybe we have a lot of middle school students also who are watching you right now. So please, if you can share a piece of advice. Vedant, we've heard you long before, so maybe you can start.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm qualified to do this, but if I had to give you one piece of advice, it would just be, especially in middle school, to just try and explore as much as possible. So don't decide from the 8th grade to the 7th grade that, okay, I definitely want to do engineering, or I definitely want to do medicine or econ, whatever the field is. Just keep your mind open to new programs, new courses, new subject areas, and try to do things that both interest you and are productive at the same time. And that could be debate, that could be a sport, it could be whatever interests you.
Super. So keep exploring, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Lovely. How about you, Stuti?
I have two sort of different types of advice. One would be that don't doubt yourself. The thing was that throughout my application process, I always thought when I looked up a university that am I capable of getting into it? Is it going to be possible? Should I even bother applying? So don't do that. If you think that you should apply to it, and if your gut says that, you know what, just go for it. It doesn't matter if you don't get in, what's to lose? Then just do it. I mean, don't hold back. You can apply to as many places as you like, but don't apply to too many also, because then that reduces the quality of your application. I think apart from that, just sort of get to know yourself in 11th and 12th specifically, because the colleges that you will apply to are going to look at the kind of person you are and how you fit into their college community rather than their academics. Because once you fit in the community, it's easy to explore the academic side of it. So just learn about yourself, because I didn't know much about myself until I actually sat down and thought that, listen, this is my niche, this is who I am, this is my personality, and these are the kind of people I want to be around. So I think just get to know yourself. That's all.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful advice, Tuti. And in fact, that's what I always tell. I've been telling all my students that this admissions process, this applications, it's a journey. Okay, admissions is only one point in that journey. So don't think that if I've got admitted in a place, it's done, right? You actually know yourself so much. You explore yourself during this whole process, which of course is quite demanding, along with your high school academics and all. But it's a beautiful journey in which you discover so many aspects of your own self, and that journey should continue. That exploration should continue all through. Right, Ishita? What is your advice?
So I was just thinking and I came up with this kind of thing. So I thought that I'm going to call it the 3 Bs.
Lovely.
Number one is be consistent. Number two is be yourself. And number three is be prepared. Be consistent in the sense work from day one. I think that's the biggest thing that helped me. Make a timetable, stick to it from the start of 11th grade. And don't stop doing something. Keep doing something, even though it's the silliest thing. Second thing is be yourself. Every single person is applying to 10 different places. Their future, whatever they are looking at to do in the future, is completely different from what you want to do. So don't compare yourself. Auntie knows this. I compared myself with everyone, and that just made me more nervous. And as Titi said, you just lose confidence. So just focus on your own journey, and you're going to do amazing things. Don't worry about it. And the last thing is be prepared. Be optimistic, work hard, but also be prepared for negative outcomes, because this university process, as you will learn later, is very unpredictable. You may have the grade, you may have the extracurriculars, but it's not in your hands ultimately. So don't take your failures too hard. It's not a reflection on your potential ultimately. So just go with the flow and work hard.
Awesome. I loved your advice, Ishita. And one, if I may add one more, is be cool. Right? Be a cool cat. I think for all of you, I think that was the end. I was kind of keeping it with you guys that be cool, don't worry, it's all fine. And constantly giving you that perspective that what you're doing is good. So don't worry, just do it, and keep your calm. That's really important. Advika, how about you?
Okay, adding on to what you just said, there's this one saying it's an old saying in Japanese called Kaizen, which means continuous progress. And I think that's something that I really love to think about, because there's gonna be times in your high school career that you are gonna have negative outcomes, but just to keep calm under pressure and keep going, like just make sure that the next day is better than the last, and just to focus on yourself and prioritize yourself and your happiness. Because I know so many people that pick courses just because of family pressure or whatnot, just because of traditions. But at the end of the day, you're not the one doing the course, you are. And if you're not happy, it's going to show and you're going to regret it later on in life. I know so many people that picked a course that they thought that they would like, and then they lost 4 years and then they redid everything all over again. So just make sure to get to know yourself, like the other panelists said. Explore all your different interests. If there's something that you like to do but it doesn't add value to your application, I think still do it. Like something that I was really interested in during high school was animals and rescuing animals. And although it didn't add anything to my portfolio, it was something that really made me happy and gave me a break from academic stress. And it was something that really helped out in the end. So
Awesome. So don't think everything is towards an application, end. Do things for your own joy, and that will reflect in your application, in the outcome of those applications, and in you as a person, right? So, in fact, Ishita and Stuti, you beautifully spoke about the point that, during the process, because it's so stressful, you tend to doubt yourself no matter how well you are doing, right? Everything is in place. And in fact, Advika, I remember that when we were looking for universities for you and which courses and which specifics, so you were looking at applying for a foundation year, remember? Which would have added an extra year to your whole course. And I was very clear, why you want to go for foundation year? You don't need to. But you constantly kept saying, no, I think I'm not ready for it. I think I should go for a foundation year. And I was very clear, no, you have to go in straight. Yeah, so I think those kind of
Can I also add
inputs.
something? I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but when Ishita spoke about not doubting yourself and just being yourself, I also want to just like, this is one thing that's coming from personal experience, because I'm the only one over here from an Indian university. It gets intimidating when you see your classmates going abroad and studying, and you think that you're not equal to them in some way, and that you're not doing as well as they are. So I would say that please don't do that. It is going to just hurt yourself and lower your self-esteem, because I can guarantee that after my 1 week experience at Ashoka, I can say that it, even if you do decide to stay back in India, it's not going to affect your masters or your career. Like universities over here are just at par with them, if not better. So I would say that definitely, and stay away from Instagram stories. everyone posts for everyone saying you got in here, you got in there. So that really messes with your mental health when you're going through the admissions and acceptance procedure, because you might have applied to a university and all your friends might have gotten in except you. So that's going to be really harsh on you. So just stay away from Instagram stories.
That's very, very, very good advice, Suti. I'm glad you brought in that perspective. And I keep telling all my students, don't worry if you're not going abroad, because there is, so there is this whole thing that it's very fancy to go and study outside of India. But it's the universities in India are really, really good, especially the new age universities like the Ashoka and Priyas of the world are really nice. And Stuti, now that you've been in the program, and I have students who've been 2 years down in the program, I'm hearing such good reviews from all of them, which are very, very competitive. And you don't have to necessarily go to a foreign university for your undergrad. You can always aim for a postgrad course one of the top universities, anywhere that could be, right? So wonderful. That's a beautiful perspective. Yes, Ishita.
I just wanted to add one thing. I was actually speaking to you about this that day. And one thing I remember, I think I only learned this at the end of my process, was everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
So, in fact, just a personal experience, my dream university was Yale NUS. And if you ask Andy, she'll tell you that I was obsessed with it to another level. And I knew everything about it. And when I got rejected, I was like, oh my god, this is the worst day of my life and I can't move on and all of that. And I can tell you for a fact that don't go by titles. People will be like, oh my god, you didn't get into an Ivy League, where are you going? But that's really not true. It doesn't matter. The name of the university doesn't matter. All that matters is what you make out of that university experience. And the university is much more than education. There are a lot of other factors which contribute to that experience. So don't go just by rankings and just by titles. And the other thing was, continuing the Yale NUS bit. In fact, Yale NUS is no longer going to be Yale NUS next year. And I think everything happens for a reason. That's
Absolutely awesome. Ishita, you hit the nail. So everything happens for a reason, and what happens is all good at the end, right? And this is all for a few who are going to the top universities in their respective fields, right? And you're hearing from them. So there is one question that has come to me, so while Stuti, you said, right, we don't look at Instagram and all of that. How do you focus and not get distracted from social media and other distractions? That's a big thing with students struggle, right? And that it's a way to keep yourself abreast with things, yet it's also super distracting and also pulls you down many a times. So how do you keep that balance? Who would want to answer that? Stuti, I think you can go ahead, and then maybe each one of you can give your perspectives.
So I didn't stay away from social media. I really did not. Throughout 11th and 12th, I was one of the people who were posting for my, my friends who did universities. I also got sucked into that hellhole, but I would just advise against it. And social media, especially during your 12th grade, can get really grappling. And during COVID, especially, oh my God, I remember scrolling through when I had, a paper due or had to study for an exam, and our school took 4 sets of exams. So it was just exams throughout the year. So I don't think that there is a way to stay away from it. I would just say that limit your interaction with social media. If it's getting too much, then just delete the app and stay away from it and take a cleanse for 2 to 3 days. It's really tough sometimes, but if you stay away from it for one day, you will realize it's not that difficult actually, and that you can stay away from it. So put a screen time, do something, just limit your engagement with social media, especially Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. WhatsApp is still important because you get to rant to your friends and all your updates come up, but just limit your interaction with social media apps where you end up inevitably comparing yourself to other people and their lives. So there's no way to stay away from it. I'm going to be very honest. I didn't stay away from it, but you have to learn where your limit is. And
Sure. Vedant, I can see that you're itching to add to something what Stuti is saying. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so I love Stuti's idea about the social media cleanses. So for me, I used to always track my screen time. And whenever my Instagram time went up beyond the point, I would delete the app for like a few days and then get back to it. And I just made it like a rule. Even if I really wanted to chat with someone on Instagram or whatever, I'd do it on WhatsApp and I'd delete the app for a while. And the other thing that I did for better or worse is the moment the pandemic started, it just worked out in such a way that I just had so many extracurricular activities to do and so much university work and school studies to do at the same time that I just didn't have time for social media. So I guess if you can do that, that would be the best case.
Be too busy.
Yeah.
Lovely. Ishita and Advika, you have anything more to add to what has been said?
I would just say that, and Auntie, I think you would agree with this, is that social media, at least, for building your college resume is quite important. All of us have different Instagram pages to promote different things, do different initiatives. So I think it is a very important factor. But I also think that, at least for me, I'm someone I would say I'm a social animal. I love interacting with people online. But something that helps me is, rather than deleting it completely, is just using it on Safari or something instead of keeping it as a permanent application on your phone. You just end up going there because it's more going there less because it's more time consuming.
Okay. So there is also one very, I think, good question which has come up with that is what are the things that keep you going in this hectic and stressful period that you had in the class 12th? And adding to that, the pandemic, right? So you were cooped into your homes, not being able to meet friends and with all the stress. So what kept you going? Advika?
Okay, for me, one thing, it was slightly spontaneous, but as part of service, I actually adopted or fostered a dog during pandemic. So I have a little pandemic baby at home. That helped me kind of de-stress a lot, just playing with her in between my like Zoom breaks of class and just having her in my room. That was really fun. And mostly I think I'm an ambivert, so I actually kind of liked that alone time. It was really calming and de-stressing, but just knowing that I had my friends on speed dial, so I can FaceTime them and just talk to them whenever, it was good. It kind of helped me work on myself and worked on everything that I was forgetting to work on when I had school, like physical school to go to. So I was prioritizing, like fitness and my mental health and just having some me time, but at the same time focusing on my academics. Like I loved the flexible schedule that the pandemic gave us. So yeah, I think just keeping your friends, family, pets close, taking some breaks from time to time, not putting too much pressure on yourself, but staying consistent and just working hard.
Superb. Okay, so we are already at 5. So I'll take one last question, although I have a lot of questions which are there. So, audience, if there are some questions which I think a lot of questions have got answered during the conversation, but if you still have any more questions, you can always reach out to me. There's one last question I'll just take that somebody has asked, Gunjan has asked, what extracurricular you need for a foreign universities and is extracurricular a must? Who wants to answer that question? Please, Ishita, go ahead.
I think something that is a must is social work or volunteer work. That's like the biggest thing that each and every, no matter which course you're applying for, every university looks at that. And I think luckily for me, that was something which was more of a hobby for me rather than anything else. And at one point I was doing so much volunteer work and auntie was like, okay, now Ishita, you need to stop. So I think that was something that was very important to me. And the other thing I would say is, if you can pick up probably another hobby which is quite different from whatever you want to pursue, whether it's a sport or whether it's an instrument that you pick up. So for me, I had I played the guitar and I danced. So I think that was something which was very unique for me. So two very unique things that you can always kind of merge and fit it right into your essay.
Fantastic. Stuti, Advika, Vedant, any of you want to add on?
No, not
I think that was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. I think by this we come towards the end of this session. This has been a very, very interesting conversation, and I can see none of our audience have left, and they have been with us till the end. So I'm sure this was a very, very fantastic fireside chat. So thank you so much for your time, Vedant, Ishita, Advika, and Stuti. And you have the best wishes not only of me and your families, but now of all the people who joined us today, right? So having worked with all of you over years, I'm very confident that you all are going to go places. So I wish you all the very best. And thank you, audience, for joining us today. You guys were wonderful. You posed such pertinent questions, and you really kept the interest very high. Yeah. So hope you found this session productive. The recording of this session will be available on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. We keep doing such knowledge sharing sessions from time to time. So the next upcoming session that we are doing next Sunday, or which is on 5th of September, that's called Paths to Professional Skies After 12th Commerce. So in case you're interested, please stay back on that WhatsApp group that we have. I will be sharing more details. And you can even like our Facebook page, My Big Leap Career Choices, to keep abreast with all the sessions that we are planning in the next 2 months. Thank you so much. It was lovely having you all over.
I
Thank you
would
so
also like
much.
to say
Thank
one
you.
thing, that if
Yes.
anyone has any questions, like especially about Ashoka, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to answer you all. You all can get in touch with me. I think that Varnika aunty can share our contact details if anyone has any questions.
Sure.
I will always here for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lovely. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you so
Same to
much.
Bye.
It was a lot of fun. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.